What's up, guys? All right, just wanted to go over the next week of programming for the Iron Sharp Athlete program. So, starting to ramp up in intensity a little bit for the open. We'll have a little bit more volume um, on kind of CrossFit specific type stuff. So, getting used to moving the barbell for high reps, getting used to doing higher volume of lighter weight stuff, getting used to the muscle endurance piece of aerobic stuff training, doing a little bit more added volume in our warm-ups to just to build on that volume and capacity and spread it out throughout the week instead of putting it all on one week or on one day. As we build into the last month or two before the open, where we start really adding a lot of volume and density work. So starting with Friday, we've got just a general warm up here, basically getting your shoulders warmed up and your hips warmed up for the snatch, getting that kind of dynamic movement ready, getting the CNS kind of fired up, and then we'll have some snatch specific prep, and then muscle snatch. So this is strength and CNS prep for the squat snatches. So working on perfect positions here, fast drive from the hips, making sure that bar makes contact with the hips every time, and then a good strong turnover with the shoulder. Keep the bar fast, and then going into the squat snatch. So this is an intense squat snatch day. So building up to heavy singles, essentially. We'll be doing one per 30 seconds for 5 to 10 reps at 50 to 70%, and then you'll transition straight into one per 60 seconds for 5 reps at 70 to 85, and then one per 75 seconds for 5 reps. Trying to build or trying to hit consistently those reps, trying not to have any misses throughout. So really focus and dialing in your technique. Maybe pause for a second or two at the bottom of the catch to make sure you have good positions down there. And then we'll move into some pure strength work with kind of a hypertrophy or strength endurance bias on the upper body work, back squats, push press, and strict pull-ups. On the strict pull-ups, as you can see, if you don't have 10 unbroken strict pull-ups, I do want you to be able to do 10 in a row at that tempo. So I want tension on the pull-ups for a steady 30 to 40 seconds is what that's going to end up being. I don't want it to where you're doing 2 and then break and then 1 and then break and 1 until you accumulate 10. I want it to be a constant 10. So if you can't do 10 unbroken, then put your feet on the ground underneath you and just give yourself a little bit of assist as needed. If you can add weight to it, then add weight to it. And then we've got just a touch of lactic power work with sled sprints. 15 seconds max effort with 2 minutes and 45 seconds rest. So basically, every 3 minutes, you'll do a 15-second sprint. And then during that rest, you'll accumulate some handstand walk practice and some chin over bar with L-sit practice. So just, again, touching on a little bit of extra volume in there during your rest periods. And then a little cool down to down-regulate the CNS. So especially on a day like today where it's real heavy strength work and then some lactic power work where you're really amped up, this 10-minute bike cool down is very important to kind of, like I said, down-regulate that CNS. Saturday is kind of our longer day, so we've got 10-minute EMOM of some upper body strength work, upper body strength gymnastics work, rope climbs, leg lifts if possible, plus some double unders, and then 5 to 10 unbroken ring dips. If those are easy, you can add a little bit of weight to it, but just focus on good quality movement there. And then we've got some mixed modal aerobic work, 10 minutes on, 5 minutes off. We've got 4 different pieces of this, so it'll be 40 minutes total of aerobic volume. Your last 10-minute block is the same as your first one, as you can see. And the goal is to get the same amount of rounds and reps in the last one or beat it as you did on the first one. So pace accordingly. The goal is not to go out and blow it out of the water in the first 10 minutes and then not be able to recover and hit the other pieces at a good steady pace. So this 10-minute piece, each 10-minute piece should feel like you could hold that pace for maybe 20 to 25, 30 minutes. Sunday is off. Monday, since we're doing some heavy work, we've got a little bit of core work and some hamstring work to wake those up before we move into the actual strength work. Power snatch, this is again, we're focusing on some barbell cycling here. Power snatch, 3 sets of 12. Start with about 50%. Focus on keeping that barbell close to your body. As soon as you get overhead, controlling it real close to your body on the way down. Still good movement, getting into the hips, fast snap open and dropping under it as needed. 3 sets of 12 there, building as needed, but keep the priority is on form and efficiency, not on weight. So I don't want it to be a weight where you're holding it at the hip and taking a couple of breaths and then lowering down to the ground. It should be straight from overhead, straight down to the ground in that one clean motion. And then a little bit heavier, but still kind of technique work on the clean and jerk. Power clean plus a hang squat clean plus a jerk, one every 75 seconds for 7 sets. Anywhere between 60 and 75%. I don't want you to go much heavier than this. I want it to feel good. I want it to feel sharp. I want the positions to be perfect. And then we've got some back squat strength work, 3 sets of 5 between 75, all 3 sets between 75 and 85%. So relatively low volume, just getting some squat work in. And then we've got some gymnastics-based interval gymnastics training. That's what that IGT. This is all just my notes up here at the top, if you're wondering. Interval gymnastics training, so 25 burpee box jumps and then 10 to 25 unbroken pull-ups. So the goal here is to keep two things: keep consistent time. So I don't want you to go 25 burpee box jumps in 40 seconds on the first round and then take you a minute on the next round and then a minute and a half on the next round. I want it to be steady throughout every time. And I also want you to pick a number on the pull-up bar that will challenge you, but you can stay unbroken for all 3 sets. So if your max you've ever done is 24, don't try to shoot and get 25 on that first set and set a PR and then go to 12 on the next set and then break it up before 10 on the last set. So I want it to be a number that you can pick. So you may not know what that number may be. So go into your first set and do a set. And when you get maybe 5-ish reps away from max, then go ahead and drop off and try to repeat that every time. If you miss the mark, that's fine. You missed the mark, you can learn from it and grow on it next week. But the goal is to stay consistent there. Tuesday, we've got a little sled walk warm up just to get ready for the deadlift, wake up our hips and glutes. So 200-meter sled walk, mixing forward walk, lateral walk, reverse sled drags with that harness around your waist if possible, where you can just kind of rotate around, do maybe 50 meters forward, 50 meters lateral, 50 meters lateral, and then reverse. And then want it 45 to 90 pounds or so on top. You can maybe add a little bit more or less depending on your strengths. But basically, this is just waking up the hips, getting the glutes firing and working well before we get into the deadlifts. And then we've got this deadlift volume piece that we've done once or twice in the past. So we're starting at 50% weight, and we'll do 20 touch and go, and then two sets of 10 at the same weight, not increasing in weight. You're just going to increase each week on this. But remember, the descending portion, the eccentric portion of the lift should be slower than the concentric on the way up. So if you start slowing down too much on the way up, then you got to start slowing down on the way down. Just make sure that lowering portion is controlled. It's not a fast Metcon type touch and go. And then some aerobic work here, 28-minute EBOM, 12 dumbbell thrusters, and then you'll hop on the bike, just an easy spin for the remaining minute, 3 wall walks, and an easy spin on the bike, 12 swings, and 15 to 20 second chin over bar hold. So the goal here is not to go guns a-blazing on the movements, and same on the bike. The goal is just to keep moving for 28 minutes straight. So it should be just smooth, steady breathing effort. None of these movements should necessarily feel super hard. So you're just doing your movement and then hopping on the bike as soon as you get off for the remaining time. It's not going to be a ton of time on the bike each minute. Don't worry about that, even if it's just 10 seconds or so. Just give what you can. And then after that aerobic piece, you'll do, we're starting a lactic endurance set here. So this is that kind of working on that next gear, that top end speed, 2 to 3 minutes of work. So we've got 15 power clean to overhead. That should be touch and go, and it should be unbroken. 30-second bike sprint, and then 15 thrusters at the same weight, and that should be unbroken, and 30-second row max effort to finish. So you've got a minute of cyclical work, bike and row, and then a minute-ish of mixed modal work, power clean to overhead and thrusters. So again, choose a weight that is challenging, but you can go unbroken with. So the goal is, the purpose of the workout and the dose response is only going to be achieved if you go unbroken or really close to unbroken. If you break once, you might can still get it, but ideally it should be sprint pace from the get-go when you pick the bar up on the power clean to overhead. And don't hold back on the bike, don't hold back on the row. Get after it. All right, and then Wednesday, 3 rounds for time, working on just movement and moving better. So we've got 250-meter row, damper setting number 1, focusing on efficiency, feeling tension on the chain throughout the whole time. This will really show your efficiency on the rower. You should be able to keep tension on it with a damper setting 1. So if you can't, you'll need to change that technique. Focus on keeping your heels planted, driving through your heels and hamstrings, leaning back and leaning forward, keeping that long, smooth pull. 12 Cossack squats, lateral squats, stretching out those adductors, keeping that chest up tall in that lateral squat and trying to get a little bit lower every rep, and stay as low as you can in that position as you go from side to side. I'll try to put a video up of that. And then a 20 to 30 second supinated grip, passive hang from the pull-up bar. So just underhand grip, hanging, letting those lats stretch out and those wrists and forearms stretch out. And then we've got some efficiency work. So this is, it is a little bit of energy system work, but it's also just focusing on efficiency and movement and how you can get your fastest time. So I want you to play with some different techniques on the muscle ups. Maybe you can land high in the muscle up. Maybe you can land in the full dip. Maybe you can, on the toes to bar, do kind of a butterfly type toes to bar or a long, slow swing, straight legs, bent knee to kick. Play with different techniques. Same thing in power to clean to overhead. Same thing with burpee or bar face and burpees. Play with some different styles. See what yields the fastest pace and the most efficient way. So what's the technique that you can use that gives you the fastest pace and keeps your breathing the most under control? Oftentimes, simply trying to go as fast as possible does not get you the fastest time, and it makes you the most out of breath. So we're looking for the best way to move through the workout here. And then some interval weight training with cyclical work. So we've got 60 calorie or 50 calories for guys and girls, and then 10 touch and go power snatch. Use a weight that can be unbroken, rest 2 minutes, and then bike 40 to 30 calories, 10 thrusters, 115, 75. Again, use a weight that can be unbroken. So that wraps up the week. Let me know if you have any questions, and look forward to getting after it.